Hello, everyone. We're at the Well of Aldur at the Wyvern platform, and I'm running in a little bit different build. Um, so I thought I'd go ahead and make a little video and show how I run in this build. Um, this is one set that has some conditions on it placed by a viewer on my Twitch stream. So I have a channel points thing where you could force me to respec into whatever you'd like. And this is a heavy armor spec with a secondary of earth spec, and there's some additional restrictions on it, so I can't use speed modifiers, I can't use cast time modifiers, I can't use draw speed modifiers, and I have very limited attack speed modifiers. So it's a very interesting build, and it's been a very insightful build. So I thought it'd be fun to look at how we're doing Well of Wyverns in it. As of now, we're about 5 days in. So I'm going to start by buffing up. I'll go through my full buff cycle, even though this stuff is still running. We have Strength of Earth, which is pretty standard. We're going to be a high strength build. I'm running Earth's Embrace, so the idea is I'm quite tanky. I can't use Berserker stance either because it's a move speed modifier and an attack speed modifier. So we're in defensive stance sort of by default anyway. So we're gonna get really tanky, and that's really nice. We actually don't do hardly any. Yes. I'm going to run Absorb Impacts. A lot of people don't like this skill because of the armor durability effectiveness modifier that it puts on you. Your armor wears out faster. I have a Preservation Potion. I have the Preservation 3-day buff. I have decent Preservation skills. I have it on some of my gears, an enchant or just a bonus from being exception. So I'm not terribly worried about it because it's only negative 40%. One of the advantages of heavy armor spec is that negative effect is reduced. Or actually, by the time I stack it, it's negative 51%. But it's also giving me a 51% armor effectiveness bonus for about 2 minutes. The truth is, most of that will actually be worn off by the time we get in there. Really, this is mostly about the 10-minute damage resistance boost. It's not a huge one, but it's free damage resist once the debuff is worn off. So we'll take Inner Strength 2. You don't need to charge that skill. I just do it out of habit. We have a defensive stance. We have Knight's Grace. Knight's Grace I'm actually just using to close. It clears the slow off of Earth's Embrace. Earth's Embrace gives you a little bit of a negative effect, and Knight's Grace will clear that off. And then we'll cast Torpor, which is actually a very good skill, especially when you're Earth spec like we are. It's going to give us, once this initial phase rolls off, a lot of strength, which we'll see here. 30 strength. That'll last for almost the entire fight. Oh, actually, we'll last the entire fight because we cast this. Also gives us great heals. We'll be using those heals in the last wave. Actually, once they fall off, or this portion, won't be using them anymore. And we won't recast it to get those heals back. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to gear I'm going to be using. I have a sword here. It's pretty much specifically made for this area. It has rend damage and rend length in it. We're going to be using a lot of rend here. It has whirling blade damage as well. It has a couple of rend gems in it. So 75% rend damage total, plus 35% rend length. 33% whirling blades damage, and then I have major strength and regular strength on it for the chance. Give us a little extra strength. The truth is, this build, because we're heavy armor spec, because we're heavy armor spec and we're Earth spec, mostly because we're Earth spec, already has a lot of strength, and it's a bit light on the dex. So a little bit of dex would help in this build, but we don't have it at the current moment. I'm using Meteoric Iron Rings with a bunch of strength, but they have skinning jewels in them. This will be very important. My neck also has skinning jewels in it. Those are giving me plus 25% skinning speed. I also have an Epic Brutal Butcher Belt. That's giving me plus 25% skinning speed. That's 100%. I'm getting another 25% or so from my skill in producer side of my skill tree, and I'm getting 40% from the Obsidian Potion I'm running. And that's going to let us skin all the wyverns in between the waves, which is normally kind of difficult. The rest of the gear is pretty standard. Some Constantine armor, so not meteoric to be super tanky. I'm missing strength on pieces. These legs could have more strength. They could have more dex. Would also be helpful. So it's high end gear, but it's not top of the line. My cloak is missing. 13 strength off of it or whatever strength off of it. So potions, regeneration potions are important. Deafness, might, running that sort of stuff. The next important thing is actually the foods. We're running troll spare ribs for strength. Again, switching this to Dex might actually be helpful at this point. Even a 1-to-1 trade for Dex might be good. So more with that later. But it gives us good regens too, just a little extra bonus health for padding. Isn't bad. The other one is Dark Star Smoked Duck with 20% Whirling Blades damage. That one's very helpful here. Our deck setup, you can see, is all stacked up. I'll stack it in the background. We'll talk about that more as we're using it. So to hop into combat here, we're going to come down, and as we're coming down, I'll cast my Atonal, start restacking it. Start running over here, the Wyverns, and we'll get it going. So there I am. I'm restacked on Atonal already. This white Wyvern you want to have go down, no matter what type of Wyvern it is. If there's two large ones when you initially come in, it's because one of them is part of sort of an interim wave. It's not part of the kind of official main waves. And you want him to go down first because he's independent of the spawner for the other waves. And there's a second one with him, a small one, but it'll be dead first anyway. But if the other large, if all the Wyverns are dead except him, the second wave timer will actually start up, and the next wave can get on top of you before you're done skinning. So we want him to go down before the purple one. So we're kind of focusing him a little bit. And so because we have no cast time modifiers, we have no move speed modifiers or anything like that, we're not super quick on what we're doing. What I'm doing right here is just doing like my Whirling Blades, especially when there's still a lot of mobs out. And in the global cooldown, when all those skills are grayed out, I can still stack, so I'm actually using my mouse to stack that 7 and 8 spot. And so we killed that white Wyvern first, which is good. Now we'll start laying some Rens into this one here. We could have been a little bit, back and forth laying Rens into both of them. Cast Torpor by accident, so we're going to have to sit here and wait for that to come off. And try to be a little more even, but it's not a big deal. Really, as long as this guy comes down, we're going to get all the skins. So he's down close enough now. I'm going to use some coup de grace, and I'm still leveling. It's 115. I don't know if it's particularly worth it. It's not a quick skill by any means. I might be better off throwing a few extra thrusts in, but I am oftentimes out of thrusts. That glyph is burned out, so works in that situation at the very least. So you can see with those skinning jewels how quickly we skin. Especially if we get a crit, it's about as quick as just looting a mob. Actually, come over here and sneak this one in. And now what I'm going to do, not as cleanly as I might like because I've already been knocked down, but I'm going to go ahead and run over here. And I have everything stacked up, and I'm just going to run off the edge again and drop my Atonal Aria. The other option is to switch decks into a deck with a shield in it and use the shield skills to prevent me getting knocked down or interrupted when I'm casting. But I like to just kind of run off the edge there. Come over, this is the big guy. He's the one I want targeted for my auto attack. He's the one I want to target for... I got interrupted on our Festering Death Poison. He's the one I want targeted for my Rens, and hopefully the Rens go into him. It's a little bit hard to control, but... he's the one I'm trying to Ren. Stacking my Rend in the background, and as I'm doing my Whirling Blades, and once we're pretty much down to him, I'll focus a lot more on thrust, and then once he gets down low enough, I could actually also do go into him and wipe him out. I didn't lock my stack, so unfortunately I've created a bit of a problem for myself here. I have everything stacked up except Atonal, so when we start going over there to cast Atonal, run off the edge like that, we're going to have to get it restacked. So start heading for the edge. I'm running a couple buffs through that number 3 slot as well. You'll see them going off. But we got stacked up now. We'll go over the edge and cast it, restack it on our way down. Everything is locked. Go ahead and get this large Wyvern targeted. Try to get Fireflies on him. Try to get Festering Death Poison helps. Haste Potion helps if we can get that off without getting interrupted. And we'll get our Rend into him, and then we'll start doing just the normal thing we've been doing, which is hit our whirling blades during that global cooldown. Use that to stack our Ren back up. And then when it comes off global cooldown, let that Ren go and just kind of rinse and repeat. So we're back down to the big one now, and we'll go ahead and start getting some thrusts into him. Down far enough, our thrust is burned out. We can use our coup and get him down, finish him. Go ahead and get a couple skins on him. Using my number 0 slot, which is just my mouse wheel back. I'm just using that to keep that mind lock going. Now, you notice Fireflies, it's on the deck, it's number 5. I've not been really diligent about keeping it in the mob. One of these, or I'm one, but that won't matter for this wave. I've not been real diligent about keeping it in the mob. It helps in the time we cast it, though. If it saves us a hit, we could have made that hit in the time we cast it. So it's not super important here. It's a lot more helpful on the big ones towards the end. So I'll go ahead and get another atonal off. Come back up here. We're gonna go ahead and just take a health potion from the start to get us a little more health as we're going. Got interrupted, and again, those interrupts are why we're jumping off the edge to recast our atonal, just so it's not interrupted. But the imbued health got interrupted, so we went ahead and just took a greater health and a restoration, an imbued restoration, which gives us the same health back into our bar there. I'm a little more mobile here, moving around, making sure that I can kind of dodge as many of the attacks and tail swipes as I want. I'm also jumping a lot more. I'm largely focused on my bar, but if I see out of the corner of my eye a jump or a tail spin, that's what I'm trying to try to time a jump. Reds and stuff. I'll take another health potion there just in case. This is the stage where we do the most healing by far. We don't have our torpor heal. We could cast it. Time-wise, I don't really know if it's worthwhile. Save us having to make potions. But guys drop enough obsidian chips that we can get some potions off of them. The Ren stacked up there. Actually, at that point, a little bit trivial to be putting Ren in. We're so close to dead. And now the final wave spawns pretty much immediately, so we don't have time to skim between it. We just have to get the final wave dead quickly enough that we can get the skins in from it. The potion, just because I have a second to do it. And actually, I probably shouldn't have taken that potion. I should have taken the potion there because it lasts long. So we'll let our Sonata go, and we're actually going to come back off the edge as that Sonata's casting. And we're going to cast our Torpor. Now, we can cast that on the way down, or we can cast it when we're up here. We're going to be locked for a little while after it casts. But the timing on it usually works out either way for us. The higher your Earth spec, less time you spend locked down. So it's not that long of a delay for us. We have our Earth spec up at, I don't know, 150 or so right now. Actually, no, you know what? We took it higher than that. What do we take our Earth spec to? That's 120 right now. Alright. So get everything stacked back up. We kind of been neglecting our Rens there. Look at that stuff. But, get some whirling blades in. Let those Rens get stacked back up. Again, stay mobile. Our health this time is actually less of a worry, really, than that last round, because we're running that Torpor, which is giving us, pretty big heals. Every now and then you'll see a green number tick off. It could be up to, well, it could be over 100. That was a 50 right there, health heal. You'll see other ones too that are the regeneration potions we're running. Those haven't fallen off. Actually, you know what? Our regeneration potion fallen off. The reason our Torpor is ticking small right now is actually because we're pretty much full health. It's healing us to full health, and so we won't overheal. Now you keep that number 3 slot cleared, and that'll make sure I'm drawing Rens more quickly. nothing will be kind of locking that up. But also make sure I actually have my stance on, my defensive stance on, and have my parry up. Um, if I get a little bit lazy on it, it's not the end of the world. I do draw a little slower. It is more slow. It's not quite as quick. But if you do it between waves and you're running off to the side, you can just double tap it real quick, and on your way down, nothing is going to pop up in that slot. And I can tell we're a little bit slower than normal here, just because the interim waves have spawned. We have another 2 wyverns. This time they're both just regular wyverns. They could spawn as a couple regular wyverns or a large wyvern and regular wyvern. A couple regular ones, it's no real additional threat. They'll get wiped out pretty quickly with just the whirling blades that are going on. We've got one of the humans down already. Another thing that's not bad is actually dragging these away from the main pile that we've created of mobs in the last round, and trying to wipe them out over there, because if they're on that main pile, you have no real choice of what you're skinning first. And if you're a little bit slow like we were this round, you are at risk of some of the earlier mobs decaying. And you want to try to get in as many of those large wyverns as you can for skins, because they have quite good loot. So actually finish this one up. I'm actually going to lay just a couple little wrens into him, make sure they're in him, and he'll die on his way over to get some skins in. So I'm going to go ahead and skin these guys first. Now, you've seen that I break meticulous collections on these, and that's just so that I can make sure to get all the skins. The initial skin is worth a lot more loot. It's worth a lot more XP and everything. So I'm okay skipping some meticulouses to get more initial skins in. But this extra high skinning speed is actually enough to let you skin kind of in between mob attacks, especially if you get a crit. A crit, like you just saw there, is about as quick as body. There's no real delay for skinning. But once I've done that, these guys, I have time now. I know that interim wave has already popped up, so it's not going to interrupt me here. I have plenty of time to skin these before they decay and before new waves start, so I'll let them take roll on these and get a little bit of bonus XP and some bonus mats. Extra gold through the extra serpent scales we can sell and all that. And that's about the gist of it for this build. It runs very smoothly here. It goes very quickly. It goes in a more relaxed way than a lot of builds. So I actually quite like it. It's been an interesting build so far, and it's been a very informative way to play. I'm used to a lot of modifiers, cast type modifiers, and all that. This is a nice tanky way to do these. Feels appropriate. And if you get a shield, it's fantastic. You really can stand in the middle and just not worry about being knocked down and anything like that. Really, really fun. So hopefully that was interesting as we run around and get our last little containers of bonus loot there. And if you like the style of this, but you don't like stacking your decks quite as much and keeping all those stacks going, you could very easily transfer, run this exact same deck, but with things locked in place. You could lock your Atonal, you can lock your Torpor, you can lock your Rend, and that would free up some additional slots where you can do other stuff. You charge stuff up between rounds, especially if you're willing to use a few skins, or if you want to charge it up as you're kind of running off the cliff and let it go and all that. So modify it, adapt it, have fun with it, do whatever. But hopefully it was a little bit interesting, and I will catch you guys next time.